you guys doing today? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just want to thank Kevin and the Minnesota Vikings for this opportunity. The best way I can describe what my life was about is by just saying that I went from being a 6-year-old mama's boy to a 15-year-old killer. My life turned around when my father came into it. I was at 8, 9 years old, hiding out, not wanting to come home because I could just walk by him and I would get backhanded. I was told by my father that men don't cry, men fear nobody. And as long as I was his son, I will not be afraid of no man. I was a kid, I didn't know the difference, but I knew that if I showed fear to him or anybody around him, I was gonna pay for it. So I did the best that I could to stand my ground on the streets. I remember I got arrested one night when I was 9 years old for stealing a car. I wasn't stealing the car, I was looking for a place to sleep. The only peace that we had in our life with my oldest brother was my stepbrother. Anytime he came around, he would, my dad wouldn't act up. My brother was like 6'6", and my brother, I just feared, my dad, I guess he feared him, I respected him, I don't know what, but when he came around, I knew there was gonna be peace when there was no peace before. When my brother told me one day, I'll see you Friday, and every time he told me he was gonna come, he was there. And one day, I came home from school and I caught my dad beating my mom in the front yard because my mom was asking the mailman if he had seen her check because she didn't get her check. I stepped in and he beat me. So I decided I was gonna tell my brother everything that's going on. I was gonna let my brother know what my dad was doing to us. So that Friday came and I couldn't wait till school was out. I couldn't wait to see my brother. I ran home. And when I got home, there was cars everywhere, people everywhere. I didn't understand because my house, that wasn't like that. That was very unusual for my family to have anybody at our house because of the way my father was. When I walked through the front door, the door was wide open. My father grabbed me by my throat and started strangling me and saying, "It should have been you. It should have been you." My brother committed suicide. I just was just losing it. I was 9 years old, became 10 years old, and I just started to, I wasn't thinking like a 10-year-old kid no more. I was thinking like a grown-up. I was thinking about how am I gonna survive this world with a father like this. And my mom, she believed in God so much. She trusted him, and she prayed, and I used to tell her, when's God gonna save us? When is this man gonna go away? And she didn't know what to do because she was scared to death of him. My family, they wouldn't come around because they were scared to death of him. And the thing about it was my mom's side of the family pretty much judged me. Not all of them, but there was some that judged me because of who my father was. So before I even knew who my father was, I was told I was gonna be like my father. So then when I meet my father for the first time, I realized people think I'm him. People think I'm going to be like him, and I wonder, am I? Am I going to be like this man? Well, I was 10 years old, my mom said, you know what? I need to find my son some help. He's losing it. He's out of, I used to hide out in the backyard at 10 years old, in alleys, just waiting for the light to turn off just to come home. I would go home at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, just waiting for him to fall asleep. So my mom got a hold of a couple, and they were the pastor's daughter and son-in-law, and she had me talking to them, and they're visiting with them and spending some time with them. And the little bit of time that I had with them, I started to feel like a kid. I met a girl there, and she became my girlfriend. And I started to feel, okay, this is what family's supposed to be about. We play some board games. One day our church said, we're gonna go to Disneyland. So we went to Disneyland. On the way back from Disneyland, the car went off a cliff. landed on top of another car. Everybody in that car died except for me and another young lady. So my crutch that I found was gone. My mom sent me up was gone. When I went to church, the day before I went to church, some gang members showed up at my house with a bag of weed. And they wanted to know if I was okay. Are you all right, bro? Are you doing okay? And they're a lot older than me, and I said, yeah, I'm all right. And my mom begged me, please don't go with them. Please do not go with them. And so I was like, all right, Mom, I'll go with you to church. The next day we go to church, and while we were at church, members of the church was telling me it should have been you, not the pastor's daughter. You should have died because of who your father is. At that point, when I went home, God lost me. My family lost me. And I started hating my mom. I didn't hate my mom because I wanted to hate my mom. I hated my mom because I felt like if I loved her, she was going to die. I was out of control. The only family from that point in my heart was my own, was my friends. And whatever they did, I did. Where they went, I went. I just started getting out of control. Things were getting bad at my house. My father was just beating everybody. He was drinking, he was slamming heroin. Got so bad to the point I was 12 years old, I pulled a gun on him. And I told him he needed to leave. And if he touched my mom again, I would kill him. My father looked me straight in the eye and told me to pull the trigger. I couldn't do it because, I was just a kid. I was just trying to scare him to get out of our home. He ended up leaving. But when he left, and you heard the story, when I came back, the only thing that mattered to me was respect and love. I couldn't find love at church. I couldn't find love at home. My mom was working Saturday to Saturday, man, just hard, getting the job done. She was always gone to support me, my sister, and a grown man that was always on the couch. My father was a gang member. And I don't know if people in Minnesota ever heard of but there was North and South, it's like Bloods and Crips. My father was from the South. I was being raised in the North. That alone for him was enough reason to hate me. Because he felt like I was going to grow up and be his complete, total enemy. I continued to go on. I went out of control. I ended up killing somebody. I don't remember all the things that happened that night, but I do know I was responsible. I chose to drink, I chose to get high, and I chose to go to that party, and anything that my friends did, I chose. One of the things I try to teach kids today is how to be responsible for their own actions. To know what your friends are capable of doing. So if your friend is they capable of killing somebody, and you get in that car with them, and you go and he kills somebody, you're responsible for your own life. And that's the things I teach these kids, because everything I did was by my choice. I got to a point where I just wanted to be the baddest gang member out there. And the reason I wanted to be the baddest gang member out there is because I seen these gang members with so much love and so much respect. At least that's what I thought it was. I didn't realize it was fear. So I wanted to be like them. So I ended up going getting locked up for murder. They wanted to give me the death penalty. I couldn't try me as an adult because back then, at the age of 16 is when they tried you as an adult. I was 15. So God, I go to prison. Before I went to prison, I was in my cell. And usually when you're in prison, usually when you're in the county jail and you get sentenced to prison, it takes a couple of weeks to get shipped out. Well, the state of California, the city of Santa Clara wanted me gone. They wanted to get rid of me because of the people I was associated with, the people I was hanging with, the things I was doing. They knew I was out of control. So what they did is brush me under the carpet and ship me to state prison. And they didn't wait 2 weeks. They did it the following day. That night that I got sentenced, I was in my cell. And the guy next to me says, hey, you don't deserve to go to I'm going to state prison. You should be going to a youth facility. There's guys 18, 19 years old, did the same exact crime I did going to the youth facility. But here I am, 17 years old, and I'm going to state prison. So this guy says, give me your paperwork, I'm gonna read it over. So I hand the guy my paperwork, thinking that I got a couple weeks, thinking I was gonna be able to see my mom before I go. Next thing I know, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting rolled up. I come out my cell, and I tell the gooner, I said, hey, can you get my paperwork from this guy right here? I gave him my paperwork. He said, sure. He looks in, and turns around, looks at me, goes, there ain't nobody in there. And I says, yeah, I gave the guy my paperwork. Watch it. I look in, both bunks are rolled up. But then it hit me. Every cell that was on that tier, we would get this phone thing that would come to us. And each cell got 30 minutes. If there was one guy in the cell, he got the whole 30 minutes. If there was 2 guys in the cell, they had to split it. I was the second to the last cell. I used to get an hour because there was nobody in the cell next to me. And they tripped me out. I'm like, what? How did that happen? And I go, oh, well, I left. I went to prison. My heart's pounding. I went into a world that I knew nothing about. I went into a world that it was just to me, I didn't believe in God, so I didn't know who to turn to. I was at an age where the only thing that I should be worried about, the only thing I should be thinking about is who to ask to prom. Or whether or not my parents are gonna buy me a car. Or can I make the football team? Those are the things that I should have been worried about. I was worried about, am I gonna die today? Do I have to kill another man today just to live for another day? Those are the things I worried about. And even though I know I deserve to be there because of what I did, I didn't belong there. Because see, if somebody would have reached out to me, because see, a lot of people go into the neighborhoods, a lot of people show up, and they show up on a Saturday or they show up on a Sunday afternoon with their Bible in their hand, and they're telling all of us, gangs are bad, drugs are bad, you guys shouldn't do this. We already know that. You ain't telling us something we don't know. Why don't you tell us how to get out of it? Why don't you give us a resource to show us a way? Because deep in my heart, even though I did what I did, even though I ran with the people I ran with, I still had a good heart. Only God knows why I went through what I went through. Sometimes I get on my knees and I just thank him. I cry like a baby. Because without him, I wouldn't be standing in front of you. See, there was a point in my life that every single person, because my mom was the only one that didn't give up on me, but every single person in my life gave up on me. Just a kid. So when I got on my knees and I prayed to God, I'm like, how did I get here so fast, so young? I said, if you take me out, I'll change. I'll make a difference in other people's lives. He kept his promise. See, he told my mom, when I was a baby, I was going to be a soldier for Christ. My mom was 4'9". When she got on her knees, she was probably 2'9". And when she prayed, she not only prayed me out of prison, she prayed the gangster out of me. And she broke generational curses. You can see where I come from and the life that I lived, if most likely my kids were going to follow in my footsteps and do the things that I did. One day I'm coming home and I stop off and I get a bunch of weed from San Jose. At this point I'm living in Stockton. I already got my pill, I already want my pill, I was already out. But even then, I didn't get it. Even then, I knew God saved me. But I still, because I couldn't find a job. I couldn't make ends meet, and I got a girl pregnant and we're about to have a baby. When that baby comes, I need to be able to provide. So I decided I'm gonna sell some weed. It ain't bad though, because it ain't hard drugs. No, that's my thinking. That's what's going through my mind. It ain't bad. It's just some weed. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna be the biggest drug dealer the city's ever had. I hit the answering machine, and it says your girl's in the hospital having a baby. So, put everything away, and I went to the hospital. And when I held my son in my arms for the very first time, couldn't believe how beautiful he was. I couldn't believe that creation came from me after so many years before I was gone. So many years before my family gave up on me. The state of California gave up on me. Departments of Corrections gave up on me. And even though I came out, I didn't realize, my God said, I'm not done with you yet. I got bigger and better plans. He knew I was going to meet Kevin someday. He knew that somehow, some way, he was going to use me to make him known. So I can show people that there is hope. Not to give up. Not to think just because a kid made some mistakes, we all got to turn our backs on him. God is, he does things for a reason. So I'm looking at my son, and I'm thinking to myself, and I'm imagining in my mind him being shot and killed on the streets as a young man. I started imagining him in prison, facing a life sentence. I started imagining him out there hanging out on the streets on drugs. And I decided right there and then, I made a decision. And I promised my son, you will not live my life. You're going to have better. So I made that decision. And I started working. And I didn't care what job I took. I didn't care what I was going to do. I held on to God. I held on to my faith. And I held on to my promise. That young man today is a sheriff. That young man today talks to people about me. And he tells people all the time, if my dad can do it, you can do it. My other son, real estate agent, he's got arthritis through his whole body. When I came here today, this weekend, it was like they were sending me off to something. They both gave speeches. And they kept saying, Dad, you deserve it. Dad, you deserve to be where you're at because you've changed for us and you broke the curse. And now because of you and because of you, all these kids that you've worked with, all these people you gave a chance. Now, we worked with over 200 kids. Not one of them has been arrested. Unfortunately, we lost one. About 3 months ago, Terrell was one of my hardest kids. He moved from Oakland. His brother was killed on the streets. Terrell, when he got to Modesto, his mom said, I don't want nothing to do with him. I just want the paycheck. So Terrell comes into my gym with a joint in his ear and cornrows and sagging, and I said, that's not tolerated here. It took him a little while, but he warmed up and he came in. Terrell came into the spot of my gym. He started being part of our program, and little by little you can see the change. But I'm going to tell you when the biggest change came. When Terrell came to my house, he asked for some orange juice. I didn't have none, so I went out and got him some. But I made it a point from that point on to make sure every single time he walked through my front door, there was a bottle of orange juice with his name on it. Terrell changed. His relationship with his mom changed. His relationship with his friends changed. Terrell went out, got married, had a baby, was chasing a music career, going to school for forensics. He came back to say hi to his mom. He came back to visit his mom, and because there was a gang initiation, somebody shot and killed him. Imagine if we were out there and we were reaching these kids and somebody reached the guy that pulled the trigger. That was 2 lives saved, not just one. That's 2 families that don't have to go through torment, not just one. I'm out here trying to make everybody understand that good people die in the hood too, not just the bad kids. And I'm gonna tell you something, for every one kid that wants to be a gang member, for every one kid that wants to do what the gangs do, there's 10 more that are just caught up. And if we build resources for them, we show them love, we give them opportunity, I guarantee you, be a lot less killing out there, be a lot less hurt people out there. Because I'm gonna tell you something, there ain't nothing more powerful than love. I learned that by loving my sons. I never had a job in my life. I was fighting for a job, but when I finally got one, I went from one job to the next job, and I became a trucker. I ended up being able to give my kids a good life by driving truck because I was blessed by God. But in the process of I was doing that, I was reaching out to kids because I made a promise to him. So I was going to keep it. He kept his promise for me. So every chance I got, everything I did was to make it better for my kids. And I'm not just talking my two sons. They were all my kids. A lot of them stopped calling me coach and started calling me pops. The other day I was just telling Kevin that I had a kid that was out of control. He was out of control because he was so good. He was like #1 point guard in the nation. And everybody gave him everything he wanted. I kicked him off my team. And I told him, the reason I'm kicking you off my team is because I love you. I don't want you to think it's okay to be bad. I don't want you to think it's okay to do whatever you want just because you got the talent. After Terrell died, he called me. He told me, I love you, coach. I know you guys worked hard to be where you're at. I know that. I know you went to school. I know you got opportunities and you took full advantage of them. And you deserve the big houses, the cars. God ain't mad at you. You deserve it. He just doesn't want you to forget about the widows, the orphans, and the lost. He wants you, I'm not saying open your checkbook every single day. I'm saying show some love. Let these kids know that they're more than what society has made them out to be. You would be amazed. If I could tell you some of the trips I took with these kids, we went to Vegas and these kids ain't left the corner block. We're in Vegas getting ready to play a tournament. We're getting ready to play a team from Canada. These guys are jumping all over me, all excited. And you know, these guys all got their hotel rooms. We got one room for 7 kids and me. But you know what? The late night stories, I used to have to tell scary stories to get them to go to sleep. I am serious as heart attack. I had to tell scary stories in order to get them to show. But you know what? The two of them came out. They weren't acting hardcore. They weren't acting like gangsters. They were acting like kids. They were acting like who they're supposed to be. We go eating like eating up like all excited. Sometimes I would be broke. Sometimes I'd have barely enough money to feed them. So I tell everybody, $1 menu, let's go. And Terrell put his arm around me. He goes, Coach, what's these guys thinking? They're gonna get a #1 like me and you, huh? Terrell, get over there. You know what I mean? We would put Terrell on the bus. And the bus driver gets, I can't do this, Coach. This player's getting out of control. All right, Terrell, get in my truck. I didn't even have to look. Because you know why? He wanted to be part of the family. He wanted to be with me and my son. My son wrote a thing on Facebook. And he was saying goodbye to Terrell. And he said that he overheard Terrell talking to his friends. And Terrell said, I don't care what race that kid is, he will always be my little brother. And his father will always be my pops. When that kid died, I cried. I cried like a baby, like it was one of mine, because he was one of mine. I got players that came onto our program later on in life, and I would see on Facebook, my only regret is I wasn't a part of this team sooner. These guys had this tremendous talent, and we would go out there everywhere, and we would showcase their talent and let college scouts see them. We didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money. So our uniforms were crap. I remember one time we had one name brand shoe, not one set, one name brand shoe that one of our kids found, and he put it on and said it was his good luck charm. We went to a tournament in Reno, 4,000 teams there. We ended up in the championship game against Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice team walks in with new shoes, new uniforms. Each player has a ball in their hand. Each player has a bag. We come walking over. We don't have no sweatsuits. We have our uniforms with holes in them and our one name brand shoe and one basketball for all of us. And my kids just staring at Jerry Rice's team. Just like, oh my God, Coach, we're gonna get killed. I said, nah, man, they've already planned for their loss. He goes, what do you mean? I go, look at their shoes. The reason their shoes are so nice is they're going to need to look at something nice when they're hanging their head down after we beat them. We ended up beating Jerry Rice's team by 40-something points. Jerry Rice walked up angry. One of my players, hey Jerry, can I get an autograph? He didn't get it. But I had a parent come up and ask my kids and said, you know what? You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Jerry Rice had kids 6'7", 6'8". Our tallest guy was 6'1", average under 5'10". He goes, you guys are amazing. Why do you guys play so good? And one of the kids, his name is Jordan Bench. He steps up and he just says, you know why we play so good? Because you see that coach over there walking away? He got $10 million in his pocket. Our coach got $10, but he'll never walk away from us. Because he loves us and we love him. The reason I share that with you, because I want you to know what love does. My team prayed together. My team lived together. My team we would go into the city of Modesto, in the city of Manteca, in the city of Stockton, to watch these kids playing against each other in high school. And my team was a travel team, so they were on different high school teams, and every one of them would wear their team jersey underneath their school jersey. And when they seen each other, they would hug each other. It wasn't about gangs. It wasn't about, oh, you're from that school, I don't like you. They always hug each other. I used to go to the games and feel so proud to watch them hug each other. Hey, how you been, man? We can't wait till season starts. They knew somebody was going to be there. And that's what we need for these kids today. We need somebody to be there 24/7. And I know it's hard. I know you got busy lives. I know this was supposed to be about my story. But my heart, I feel like the Holy Spirit is telling me to reach out and say, hey, look it. They're like me. They just need a chance. I raised my 2 kids, law-abiding citizens. Neither one of my kids hit their ladies. Neither one of my kids cuss out their ladies. Neither one of my kids cheat on their ladies. Both of them love God. Both of them trust God and believe in God and give everything that they are today because of God. If he didn't come into my life, he didn't come into my heart, I would have never changed, and I would be dead today. I'd be dead or rotten in prison for the rest of my life. Father God, I don't even know how to say what's in my heart. I just wish I could just open up my chest and let every single one of you guys see the passion I have for these guys, because I've been there. I cried like they cried. I've been alone like they've been alone. I know when you feel like in life you have no hope. I know that feeling too. Through the grace of God, I know what it feels like to have hope too. I know what it feels like to go on in life and not look back at who I used to be. I learned it's not what you're going through, it's who you go to. And no matter what pain in your heart, no matter what life brings to you, if you give it to Jesus, man, if you give it to God, he's going to be there for you. No matter everything and everybody turned their back on me, except for him. I can't even understand how much I appreciate being able to be here and share my testimony with you guys. I can't even begin to understand. Tell you how much I appreciate it. This organization, and I love you guys, to open your hearts, to allow me to come from where I've been, to come and be treated like a king. I was talking to Debbie when she called me to tell me that I'm gonna have a car waiting for me when this is over. I said I want to go home. I want to stay because this has been an awesome experience. But I know my cousin met Kevin. It was destiny. When I met Kevin, it was destiny. I'm here today. It's destiny. I talked to University of Minnesota a little while ago. And when I was done talking, half of these kids told me they loved me. They were hugging me. I know that you're probably looking at me and it's like, man, why Kevin bring him? Kevin didn't bring me. Jesus touched his heart, and it made him understand that my job, all our job, all our responsibility is to know him and to make him known. To reach people that need to be reached. To teach the people that need to be taught. That's our responsibility. That's who God made us to be. I appreciate everything, and I love all you guys. And I will pray for this program, and I'm a Viking fan now.